What's good, YouTube, and what's good, my fellow Rebel-loving scums? Welcome to the Rebel-loving scums lair. I am your host, James Jackson, and this is my sister, and I don't know what Star Wars title you want to give yourself. I just dragged myself out of nowhere. All right, anyways. So, welcome. This is the first time in a long time we've actually done some videos, obviously, since the ending of season 2 of The Mandalorian. There's been content, you know, we had Visions, we've had The Bad Batch, we've had, of course, The Book of Boba Fett, but this is the first time it's been a series that I'm very intrigued and exciting to talk about. And I'm glad to continue on this channel and the Star Wars content with my sister, who is also a very big Star Wars fan. And so why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody who may not be familiar?
So hi, I'm Jeroline. I'm a huge Star Wars fan like James, and I'm also a sister and business partner. We have D Luminous Productions together, and I'm excited to talk about Obi Wan Kenobi. I have a lot of feelings and thoughts on the matter. And
okay, all right, yeah, let's
hold
hold
on.
up.
Hold on.
Right, you're going a little bit ahead of the game now. Yes, but yes, today we are actually here to talk about Obi-Wan. This video is going to be all about episode 1. We will talk about episode 2. But today we're going to just give our initial thoughts of episode 1. Some of the things that we liked about it, things we didn't like. We'll go into things in terms of how we feel the production is, as well as the characters and how things are going in terms of the story. I know I have a lot to say about it. I know Jeroline has a lot to say about it, because this is a section that she really holds the door. She holds the prequel timeline very near and dear to her heart. So and I'm cool, and I'm cool overall. I enjoy the prequel timelines.
Hi James, I know you. I was there. You can't lie to these people.
No, I do. I really love episode 1. Episode 1. I really loved episode 1. Not a fan of episode 2, and I enjoyed episode 3. So overall, yes, I do have a favorable viewpoint of the prequels, and I also watch Clone Wars and all this other stuff. So yes, but let's not waste any more of everybody's time. Let's actually dive right into it. So let's just go over our initial thoughts. By the way, me and Jeroline have not given our thoughts to each other about the show. So this is the first time we're both hearing each other's thoughts and opinions. It's all right. I think it's all right if I go first. Just from your tone, I kind of get the idea of your thoughts.
Don't make assumptions. Don't.
All right. I won't make assumptions.
Not you've been my brother my whole life.
I will definitely let you give your thoughts. So I'm gonna give my thoughts again on episode 1, and I thought it was good. I overall enjoyed episode 1. I enjoyed the things that they're setting up with the character of Obi-Wan. I enjoyed the fact that there is a character I was not expecting to be very, very heavily shown, at least in not only this episode but the following episode as well. That you know, I really did enjoy seeing. We'll get to that in the more spoiler talks. And also, I kind of dig what's sort of the subtlety of what the dynamics of the Inquisitors, especially the third sister, which is also named Reva, and sort of where it's sort of kind of leading. I have a theory about her, and we'll discuss that when we get to the character section. I enjoyed the set pieces. I love the fact that we get to see more of the galaxy. We get to see Alderaan, just a little bit spoilers. We get to see Alderaan a little bit. We'll talk, and I'll definitely talk more about that. I also felt like I also like the fact that it almost seemed like Ewan McGregor had to relearn, like Obi-Wan had to relearn what it'd be like to be a Jedi. Ewan McGregor had to sort of relearn to be the character. It was sort of like felt like he had to get more into the character again, in a good way, not necessarily in a bad way. But overall, I enjoyed that first episode. I didn't feel like it needed 4 minutes of a recap, a 4-minute recap
Hush,
of the
hush,
prequel trilogy,
hush,
which we have 3 movies that you
hush.
as a Star Wars fan should have recapped before then. I didn't need 4 minutes of that, but that's my thoughts and opinions. But overall, first episode, we're not going into episode 2 yet. We're going into just episode 1, Jerry. What is your thoughts of the first episode?
I had similar feelings. I really enjoyed it. Ichigo has decided to join the chat.
Ichigo is my sister's cat, by the way, everyone.
So if you see a tail or a cat plop into this, that is him. But basically, my thoughts are very similar. I really enjoyed it. I think it was fine having the recap of the prequels in the beginning. I agree. As I said when I posted when Obi Wan came out, this is for those who cared about the prequels. What I really liked about the first episode was the subtleties, not just with the Inquisitor, but with the mental state of Obi Wan. Like how he feels after, and spoiler alert, they mention how this takes place about 10 years after the ending of episode 3. So after 10 years of basically living and hiding his mental state, and you see elements of guilt, another spoiler, but you see bits of emotion that he's going through, his psychological bit, and his feeling of isolation. You really get that, and I enjoyed that in the first one. It's a really, really good start, I would say. And to almost, I was curious when they brought in Obi Wan Kenobi series, because we kind of know what happens to Obi Wan, right? He watches over Luke, and then eventually when Luke becomes an adult, he trains Luke. So I didn't know how they were going to make this relevant, like actually add new content or a new story that made sense that wouldn't conflict with the already established timeline of what happened. So that was my thing in watching this, that was my question, and they started to build it in the first episode.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. So you overall enjoyed the first episode. That's good to hear. I definitely think it did. Which I want to just go right into sort of the production. I'm going to definitely talk cinematography. The way it opens up with, or not only it opens up with Order 66, but it opens up with the assault on the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
I think and by the way, this is spoiler talk. If you're still watching and you haven't seen the episodes, you should be going to watch the episodes by now.
Yeah, watch the episodes. Don't come here until you've seen it
and then get upset. But I first of all, I really enjoyed the basically the one take. I love the one take where it's because it gets you in the chaos. You're right there. You're just sitting here watching these younglings training, and then all of a sudden, clone troopers show up and started shooting at them. And then their Jedi master is trying to scale. But also, this Jedi woman, she was a badass. Just being able to just going in and protecting the younglings, but obviously, she eventually falls, dying protecting these younglings. And then it's just like them trying to run off. And we'll get more into the characters, but I will just say I have a feeling it plays into the Inquisitor character Reva, that particular scene, because I'm going to get into a theory I have with her and how, because outside of that, I don't know how that opening scene ties, except for I don't know how you think. I personally think one of those younglings is Reva, because outside of that, I don't know how that scene ties in to the rest of the story.
Yeah,
outside of the fact that one of those youngins has to be Reva, or what they also call her as the third sister.
Yeah.
But I thought that was well done. I love, I'm kind of, even though a lot of people are getting sick and tired of seeing Tatooine since it's been like, what, four shows that has somehow gotten us to Tatooine at some point.
Tatooine is where everything started.
Yeah, but it's like a geographical indemnity. Tatooine is, you get the Tatooine from everywhere. It's like every single show gets somehow you get the Tatooine. Somehow this is Tatooine is a geographical enemy. That's a old brother without a reference for those of you who don't get it. But I personally I do love the setup. It's like you're now seeing the tyranny under the Empire, but you also shows that dynamic with the dynamic of, I guess we get the reveal of we get young Leia on Alderaan, which we'll get to characters in a bit, but I overall love the look of Alderaan. Right. And the reason why is because it goes back to what I love, which it goes to those EUs, specifically the Old Republic era, specifically the MMO game, the Old Republic. You get to really see Alderaan. And what I love is that they took a lot of the theme of Alderaan from the Old Republic game. I know you haven't played the Old Republic MMO game, but the best way I can describe it, and you kind of get the sense here, but it basically Alderaan is Star Wars Game of Thrones. Like there's a bunch of houses, and like the way Leia's cousin behaves, that is like 80 to 90% of the people of Alderaan and how they behave. Like they have that mentality of, oh, we are royalty and second class citizens. You're second class citizens. You should be honored to be in my presence. Like in the Old Republic game, that is how, outside of mainly House Organa, but that is mainly how the different houses of the houses of Alderaan behave towards outsiders. In the game, there is, and sorry, nerd out a little bit. This is a nerd out moment. But in the game, you really get to see the different houses, because at that time, basically somebody kills the previous queens and usurps the throne, and now it creates this big civil war where all the different houses are fighting and forming allies to be the ruler, to be the ruler of Alderaan. That's basically the storyline from the Old Republic game. Like I said, it's Game of Thrones. Alderaan is essentially like Star Wars Game of Thrones. But I do like the fact that they kind of, in a weird way, they show how, man, Luke really got the short straw, the short straw of the thing, because, you know, he's on this barren wasteland of a desert planet, and she's service, and Leia's is served to, and it's like on this royal family that has a super long lineage to this gorgeous, beautiful planet. But I was so happy that we finally get to see some of that. Because we don't really especially in live action, we haven't really seen Alderaan. What is your thoughts?
I didn't have that background. I loved Alderaan because it speaks to like one of the first lines in episode 4, where she talks about how the planet is like, we're peaceful, they have nothing to do with this, and like based on the way you describe it, the inhabitants of Alderaan really don't care about what's going on. And you see that in how like very carefree the citizens, even Leia, like shit is happening all throughout the galaxy. There's tyranny everywhere outside of Alderaan. But Alderaan seems like this peaceful paradise that nobody's being tormented, nothing's being touched. Like her family may have shitty people in it, but nobody's really oppressing them. And it's interesting to see how somebody goes from being like, from a planet that's that peaceful to being the leader, one of the leaders of the Rebel Alliance.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And also, even though I sort of said, man, Luke sort of got the short of the strong, but in a way, it also is a blessing in disguise, because he's in an environment where, you know, nobody really cares to look out in that area. It doesn't draw attention. Whereas Leia is quote unquote the daughter of one of the leaders who begins the rebellion. So she has to deal with a lot of attentions, and sort of all of a sudden her life gets a little bit more uprooted, while he gets to live like a kid. Though we do get to see Leia live like a kid here. I just love it. And I love the way just how we're seeing people like normal. Like there's that fish meat packet that we see Obi Wan first at, and it's just like, I love this sentiment that is like, man, this sentiment of weight wherever it is, even in the peaceful parts of Alderaan, there's a sentiment of weight you feel the weight of the Empire everywhere.
Yes, but it's more akin to how tyranny actually looks. Is that in your day-to-day life, you don't feel it unless you're directly affected by it. Those who are directly affected by it, feel the brunt of the Empire, right? Like when the Inquisitors are coming, you're scared because you don't know a Jedi, but you may get your hand cut off for just talking about somebody trying to come.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great scene. Which you want to just go right into the characters?
Yeah.
Let's just go right into the character. And I know it's about Obi Wan, but I want to talk about, since you were talking about the Inquisitors, let's talk about the Inquisitors. I really like the dynamics of that. You have the Grand Inquisitor, sort of this, and he's giving this speech. It's funny. I can't help but laugh, and I know this. Some people may say this is kind of a bad thing, but I kind of, when he was giving that speech about how to find a Jedi, I couldn't help but think of the Negro can't help itself when you're out to a catnip. That Key and Peele skit. I couldn't help but think of that Key and Peele skit of the Nazis trying to look for. It's like I was just wondering.
Or the scene in Inglourious Basterds where
it's like, you must be the Jew hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to that.
No, I was thinking, the Jew hunter.
For me, the three have you ever seen Hellraiser?
Yes.
Okay. So the Grand Inquisitor, the way he operated and the way I don't think they gave a name for the second.
He's a brother. I don't remember which number he is, but he's
maybe brother two.
He's in the Rebel series. I do remember that one is in the Rebel series.
So let's assume he's brother two. Forgive me if that is not his name. Please correct me. I will IMDb it.
I think he's like the 10th brother or something like that. I don't remember.
The dynamic between the three of them reminded me a lot of the High Priest in Hellraiser and the other cybots. Their attire reminded me of that. The way they approach it reminded me of that. So I thought whoever the costume designer and the director, and the writer probably got influenced by Hellraiser. That was just my opinion with those three.
Yeah. So you like the design?
I did. I'd like,
because there's a lot of Star Wars fans that are not happy with the designs, but they're also, they are seeing them. They've known these characters from like Rebels and also I think from Jedi Fallen Order, so they look very different live action compared to their Rebels animated.
So this is where I go into.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of. That's the thing I've constantly heard. It's like is that there's been some feedback on the designs of the.
Here's my thing: is that to get something that was an animation to make it realistic to what that person would look like in real life, you're gonna need to sacrifice that if you want a live action version. Now, there's some things, because they would look so crazy in live action, you don't ever want that. Like, as an anime fan, there's certain animes I never want made live action, ever. In life, please don't do it. It won't come out right. It just won't look right. There's some that had potential to do well and they screwed it up, and we won't mention them, James. We won't mention them.
All right. I have no problem to mention them as well. But yeah, I do like that. I also like how he's giving this the dynamic. So it's like he's giving this thing of like being terror just by his presence. Like, yes, the Jedi cannot help themselves when they're so. And then Reva's just like, all right, I'm done. Enough talking.
She has no patience. I like her a lot.
And it's like I love the fact that she's very direct to the point, but it also shows that she's very also blinded. She's like blind rage. She's focused rage, but she's also blind rage, where it's like she has her target she wants to target and be dealt with. But and then the other Inquisitors are like, yo, you're being a bit of a loose cannon right now.
Yeah.
Which I think, what is your thoughts on the character Reva?
I like her a lot. I like her a lot for multiple reasons. I feel like she is probably the best example on why somebody would go and choose to go to the Empire and go to the dark side. Like just in the well, it's not in this episode. This is more in episode 2. But once you get to know the character a little bit more, you start to understand why she would have taken this path. And there's clearly a not desire for power, but
she has an obsession with Obi Wan. Now, I have my own theory. I would love to hear what you have to say. I have a theory. And by the way, I love the character too. I know a lot of people are I know a lot of people are questioning and showing concerns, and that she's sort of and sometimes hamming it up. And I just feel like there are a couple moments where especially when she's in that confrontation with Uncle Owen,
Mhm.
where it's getting right up there to the hammy portion. But
I'm sorry.
I'm okay with that.
Here's the thing.
But I'm okay with that.
Here's
But like she is obsessed with Obi-Wan, and I would love to hear because I have a theory. Why do you think she is so obsessed with Obi-Wan?
I think probably the reason she's in the position she's in and where she came from had to do with Obi-Wan. I do not know, but I think he might have either killed somebody during the Clone Wars or right at the beginning of the Empire, or somehow he is responsible for her suffering. In my mind, that's my thought. There's part 2, which is what I was saying before, was that she really wants Vader's approval. Specifically, she doesn't care about the Emperor's approval. She cares about Vader's approval, which implies to me she has a very close tie to Anakin, because she calls him by. She knows his actual.
We'll get to that when we get to episode 2.
And nobody. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get that to when we talk about episode 2. Yeah, that will be episode 2. We'll be talking about in another video. But I'll just say this. Here's my theory, and this was my theory before episode 2. Like, based on like how she is so hot-headed, and everybody's like, okay, you clearly are. And then she said something very specifically when the Inquisitor asked her, or not the Grand Inquisitor, but the other Inquisitor asked her, it's like, what is with your obsession with Obi-Wan? It's like, why do you want to find him so badly? And she's like, I want what's owed to me. So here's my theory. Like, it definitely has to do with Vader. And like, again, that whole opening scene has to be something. And I guarantee you, she is one of those young. Here's my theory. She's one of the younglings we see that is being like ran out. And she's one of the younglings that comes across Vader, Anakin during it all. And she's so obsessed with finding Obi-Wan because she sees that as her opening to kill Vader. Her Obi-Wan is not her prize. To me, her true target is Vader. I think we'll get into episode 2 more about how she knows Ed. But to me, she clearly knows who Vader is. She knows how much of a emotional pinpoint Obi-Wan is for Vader. So I think everybody's thinking she just wants to get in favors of Vader. I think she just wants to get Obi-Wan so she can bring him, so she can get close to him and kill him. I think her whole plan is she wants revenge for what he did at the temple.
That's a good theory. I won't deny that. That's a strong theory. I would say it may be deeper than that, in the sense of what she's owed to him, because Obi-Wan trained Vader, right? Obi-Wan trained Anakin.
Yeah, like, so you think it's more like she blames Obi-Wan for Vader's downfall. I do feel that, but I feel like because it seems like she is so hell-bent on getting close to Vader.
Yeah.
And she knows Obi-Wan is that key.
Yeah.
And it's like, clearly at least from the fans, it's like she says, we've been hunting Obi-Wan for 10 years. Because there's that whole argument after they basically cut this woman's hand off and threatened.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree.
they clearly, it's like they say they were hunting Obi-Wan for 10 years and then they just gave up. Clearly, I just think Obi-Wan is critical, mission critical to her plan to get to Vader. Like she feels like I can't get close enough to him or get him into a vulnerable state unless I have Obi-Wan there. If I do that, I can get him, and I will do to Vader Obi-Wan what you failed to do.
I could see that. I wouldn't deny that would make sense because I have to think they have to bring out Vader, right? They got Hayden Christensen back to be Vader, though his voice will still be, I believe, probably a mashup between Hayden Christensen's voice and
James Earl Jones. Come on, James Earl Jones.
I know, James Earl Jones. I think it's going to be a mashup of their voice, but I believe that because Obi-Wan and Vader physically never see until episode 4. They actually never battle each other until episode 4. Because Vader says, the last time I saw you, you were the master and I was the apprentice. Now I am the master. Says something along those.
No, that's not his line. He says, first of all, he never actually says the last time they see it. He says, when I left you, I was nothing but the learner. He never said when the last time I saw you. The thing he says is the only time he goes any of their closest when he's with that Imperial officer. He's like, I sent something. I haven't sent since, but he never finishes. But he actually says, when I last left you. He says, when I left you. He never says, when the last time we met, I was nothing but the learner. And I think they've already indicated, no, they will have a confrontation. They've already, like Disney has already confirmed that Obi-Wan and Vader will have a confrontation in this series.
Okay. Then I'm curious on the continuity of that. I have to relook at the script. Maybe that's the loophole they got so they can see him. Because for me, it was like, from my understanding, the last time they saw each other was Mustafar. But if they're gonna have a conflict here, then maybe if you're correct, which you probably are, if that's the case, then somehow it's going to be somewhat of a draw and a duel. It has to be a draw because he doesn't lose.
Of course, because we both know both of them eventually have their final confrontation aboard the Death Star.
Yeah.
We get that. So yeah. I think we talked quite a bit about Reva. Let's talk about the character of the show, Obi-Wan. I kind of like this. I personally love this character of this feeling of someone who's basically given up on the Force. It's like severed ties with the Force. It's like severed of basically suppressed who he was in order because there's something. Because one, he just feels like absolute failure. Everything has come. The galaxy is in a state of where it is because he failed Anakin, and the Jedi failed to stop Sidious. And I love this fact that there's someone who's just severed and just gone. And even when people are crying and saying we need your help, he's like, there's this internal conflict with him where he knows if he does that, it will reveal himself to the enemies, kind of like another Jedi that does it later on in the Star Wars saga. But I digress. But no, I love the fact that he this was a Jedi who he was one of the greatest Jedis of the last Old Republic, not the old Republic, but of the Republic that we mostly know. He's one of the great Ezra, and now he's packing meats in the desert. He's packing fish and stealing fish for his pet and making deals with Jawas for parts. Like it's like wow, it's like a sense of wow, how have the mighty have fallen. And I like the fact that he does it in order to, obviously he's doing all this in order to protect, but also to try to take away some of the pain. It's partly to take away the pain of what he's lost, but also in doing so protecting Luke. But now it's that one thing that he's done to protect Luke, he now has to go against it in order to protect Luke's, to go after and save Luke's sister.
My thoughts on Obi-Wan. I wouldn't say he severed ties with the Force. That I disagree with, because you see him constantly reaching out for Qui-Gon. And at the end of the recap, the last sentence is Yoda saying, "I will give you instructions on how to connect with Qui-Gon." So I think it's less of somebody who's abandoned the Force. It feels abandoned by it, because he's been trying to connect with Qui-Gon, trying to protect Luke as much as he can, stay hidden, continue the mission that he was charged with, which is to take care of both of the kids, but really to watch Luke because Leia was going to be taken, and to do his job of connecting with the Force, get advice from Qui-Gon, but he has not connected with Qui-Gon. And the only thing that brings him somewhat of joy.
Liam Neeson will show up in the show.
Oh, yes. Please give me.
I think it's like a foregone conclusion that Liam Neeson will show up as Force Ghost Qui-Gon.
Give me Force Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn. I've been waiting for so long.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been waiting, because that was the thing. If you actually remember, I don't know if you remember this, but that was actually something in the art, like before Episode 3 was to come out, that Qui-Gon was supposed to have a big role in Episode 3. He was
I remember that.
Show up as a Force Ghost. That was one of the things, but it never happened. I guess they decided
they cut it out.
I don't know if Liam Neeson just didn't want to do it at the time.
No, I think they cut it out because
they just cut it out. But yeah, that was one of the things that
lines. Liam Neeson, I'm pretty sure, got paid lines, because there are lines in Episode 3 from Liam Neeson that are new. That's like, "No, Anakin run." Like, there are different lines in Episode 3 when Anakin is having these dreams.
I mean, you can say that he probably did, like, lines or did voiceover, but I'm just saying maybe he didn't want to make it. I don't know.
A physical.
Anyway, those were long days back in the old days of the Old Republic. So yeah, so that was Obi-Wan. Yeah. I think we both agreed that we love seeing what Obi-Wan. But then we got to get to before we get to Leia. Let's talk about Uncle Owen and his.
I already told you my feelings on Uncle Owen, and they're the same from the trailer to now. I know.
But the thing is, you do kind of feel for Uncle Owen. It's like, he was given this child to watch over, and this dude who basically is responsible for, like, he firstly feels Obi-Wan is responsible for the way everything is because of what Anakin eventually became. It's like you keep trying to bring him into this whole thing of what basically created Vader, and now you want to bring him involved in this. No, we're here to stay away from him.
Look, I hear everything you're saying. I'm just saying, I'm not shocked that Obi-Wan was like, "You know what, Luke, don't even worry about him. Like, he's probably dead. Like, you don't need to see the bodies. You don't need to see how your father buried him. Like, you don't need to see Uncle Owen."
That's cold. That's cold.
I'm just saying, Uncle Owen.
But I will say this: he's got some cojones. Uncle Owen's got some cojones. And the way he just stand up to Reva.
He does. He does.
He's like, she was like, "You hiding Jedi?" He's like, "Jedi are vermin. Like, I hunt and kill vermin. I'm just like, stop him getting me," and he just stood his ground. And also, he didn't snitch on Obi-Wan. He just stood his ground against Reva.
I just want to know why they go to Tatooine. Anakin knows his stepbrother's probably on Tatooine, right? His Yeah, Step Brothers on Tatooine, right? An Inquisitor and like interrogates a gentleman by the name of Owen.
But remember, Reva's like off the rails. You gotta remember, Reva's off the rails. So I mean, Vader probably doesn't even know about the stuff that's happening on Tatooine. That's the only thing. I'm pretty sure like they're kind of like, all right, we're not gonna and also there's probably a bunch of Owens on Tatooine. But let's move away from the course.
Uncle Owen, I'm just saying, I look, Obi-Wan looked the other way when those stormtroopers.
No, I do think it's kind of also it's like, you know, this Jedi came looking for Obi-Wan and found him, and Obi-Wan's get lost, and then you see basically, I mean, they are not shy of hiding from violence on this show, which I'm glad that they're now shy. This dude just gets hung up. I'm like they just hang him for display. I was like,
they show his body, but like they don't show any blood. I don't even see a hole. I don't even know how this man died. He almost looks like he's passed out, hanging out.
Maybe they crushed his insides.
I don't know what they did.
I think they just crushed his insides, or they just did a little stabby, and you know, lightsabers cauterize the wounds immediately.
Yeah, but there's still a hole. We always see a hole. Even when the Jedi lady at the temple got shot, we saw a hole through her body. Ain't no hole on this man. How is he napping? What is he?
I think they definitely killed. No, they killed that.
No, he killed him. I'm just saying, when you talk about the violence, I saw no violence out of the fact that somebody was hung up.
Somebody's hand gets cut off right there.
I'm talking about in that particular scene, the gentleman who's hung up. You don't see that.
But but let's get to Leia. Let's get to Leia.
Are we still on?
I know you've been wanting. I guess you've been wanting to say something about Leia.
Are we on episode 1 Leia? Episode 2.
Episode 1 Leia.
She's okay.
Okay. All right.
Episode 1 Leia is like, okay, cute. You're bringing Leia. Why is this relevant? That's literally was my point, because Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. In my opinion, would have made more sense for us to focus on Luke instead of Leia.
But they quickly explain why they bring Leia in.
We understand because Leia gets kidnapped, which also doesn't make sense because Leia doesn't even. She kind of remembers Ben Kenobi.
But it's not that. Again. Remember, the whole point of she's being kidnapped is it's not because of her ties to Vader. It's the fact that she.
I'm talking about in episode 4 when she's saved. In episode 4 of Star Wars, she refers to Ben Kenobi. Obi-Wan is like, oh, Ben. Obi-Wan.
No, only Luke calls him old Ben. She says General Kenobi and help me, Obi Wan Kenobi.
No, when
she never refers to him as Ben.
When Luke comes to get her,
yeah,
she does say Ben Kenobi. She doesn't say Obi-Wan. She says Ben Kenobi. When Luke comes to, because she asks, where is he?
Yeah, but okay. At this point, I think.
Look,
Star Wars fans, stop trying to keep continuity. George Lucas didn't care about continuity. Let's not try to go into continuity now.
I'm not gonna let you disrespect Lucas. Episodes 1 through 6 make perfect sense.
Yes, so he betrayed and murdered your father. Yes, those blast points too accurate for Sand people, even though they could definitely shoot miles away go at a speed racer going 200 miles an hour, but they don't have accuracy. Only Imperial stormtroopers who can't hit a freaking droid walking across a way as they're shooting.
Look, there's plot holes, but we're talking continuity here. We're talking
that is continuity.
No, that's just a plot hole.
The same there where you meet Yoda, the same Jedi who instructed me, even though he was trained by Qui-Gon. Look, that's
instructed him. No, when he was a youngling, Yoda instructed all the younglings. That's not incorrect.
Right, we're getting sidetracked. All I'm saying is Star Wars has.
It's not inconsistent.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not inconsistent. All the younglings were instructed by Yoda.
All right. No, but what I'm saying is there's a history of Star Wars with inconsistency. And I think people that are stuck to these words need to let it go. They're not going to stick to to the exact words of what happened 30 plus years ago. So, yes. And also, she never realized, and also, he just knows her as Ben at the point. I'm going to give a little bit of leeway. Right now, he only says, my name is Ben. She never, and we're getting to episode 2 anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is...
So you asked me about Leia. Let me answer. So I liked how they bring in elements of Padme and Anakin into her playfulness, into her love for droids. You see a lot of Anakin's love for droids as a kid and how he would play with droids. You see a lot of that in episode 1, which I really enjoy. You see her intuition, like elements of her force where she kind of senses things about people, and then
her mind reading, her mind sensing, where she gets sense a person's character.
She senses a person's character and she just says it right as it is. And you see a lot of elements of both Padme and Anakin in her, which I really enjoy watching that.
So Leia was a big surprise, and I honestly think she did a fantastic job. This little girl did a great job, because I'm like, this is what young Leia is. And I love the fact that they didn't, like, when the cousin was like just dogging on her, like, you're not even a real Organa. I was so concerned that they'll just make her like moody and sad, just like this. And, like, I hate it here, which, would be kind of Anakin-ish. Let's be honest, that would be kind of Anakin-ish.
Anakin, but that's why I said.
But I do love the fact that she's ready to scrap. Like, okay, you want to bring me smoke? Give me all the smoke. I'll give it right back to you.
Yeah, and that's very much in a very diplomatic.
And that's very much Leia. Like, Leia, she's ready for the smoke. And I like the fact that she's this, and we see a lot more of it also in episode 2, which we'll get to later. But you also get the sense of this. I love the little bonding moment with Bail Organa, Jimmy Smith's Bail Organa, and Leia, where they're like, it's like, oh, what came by? It's like, oh, maybe pirates. I thought that's what I said. I know. It's like, and the mother's like, don't encourage her.
I think
you could see the relationship of her father, which also I think again adds more. There's more dimensions now to A New Hope when you see the destruction of Alderaan and her father, and basically which ultimately would be her father's death.
Yeah,
like you now get a little bit. There's now more weight when you see this dynamics between her and her father, as well as her and her mother. How like her mother's just like.
Yeah,
it's like raising a boy.
Yeah, like raising a boy, or she's very much like Padme. There's a lot of moments that remind you of Padme from episodes 1 through 3, which I really enjoyed, because Natalie Portman did such an amazing job portraying a very strong, very intelligent, very well-spoken woman and leader. And you see elements of that even with her as a small kid. In episode 1, I'm going to specify that in episode 1.
Yeah, and she's got streets, and I like the fact that she still got some, even though she's been locked in the palace, she still got some street smarts. You see it because the way she sort of just when she's running away, eventually she does get captured, but the way she's like finds ways that only someone her size can get to, like she slides through a bunch of branches.
I wouldn't say that
she did that Star-Lord's that Tom Cruise slide down.
I wouldn't say that's street smarts. I would say that's her force abilities, being able to sense and move quickly. But I wouldn't say that's
street smarts.
No, because episode 2, she very much did not display any street smarts. She was very, very, very.
Well, we'll get to that with episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess we'll just wrap up at this point.
Okay.
Overall, I think it's a good introduction.
Yes.
Again, I think it's just because it's just setting up the character of Obi-Wan. It's setting episode 1 is setting the stage. What's going on? It's setting the players that are happening. We set the dynamics of between the Inquisitors, the internal struggles of Obi-Wan, and also sort of the first signs of people like Bail Organa and Owen and the children, and how they're sort of in their worlds and seeing their worlds. I think it's a good open start to get the show a good side of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I wouldn't say one of some of the best episodes that I've seen in terms of Star Wars, but I think it's a very solid in terms of good introduction. What's your final thoughts?
I agree. One more thing on character bit, which I found interesting, is that it's almost common knowledge that she's not their daughter, that she's adopted. I found that very interesting. Instead of kind of making it seem like they have enough political interest that they could probably like pretend that she had a baby.
Yeah, but I mean, you can clearly look at her, and look at the Organas and be like, I mean, it's like looking at Joffrey Baratheon and be like, you're not really a Baratheon.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, it's like, I think, like, yeah, people will be like, sure, and they'd be like, of course. It's like, we know you're like, why are we like? I think it's there just like, yeah, what's the point? Everybody, first of all, his wife showed no signs of being pregnant, and all of a sudden they have a child.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like,
yeah, okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they adopt her, and I thought that was very strange because, again, to me, with Anakin being out there, even though at the end of episode 3 he's told that she dies and that the babies are dead, I would think if all of a sudden Senator Organa has a daughter who looks like Padme.
but keep in mind, first of all, she's very young, so nobody, and like, Padme's been dead for 10 years. Okay,
Anakin hasn't forgotten what she's looked like, and it's not like he hasn't run into Senator Organa in the Senate. So that's my point, is that if he's ever seen her, it, like, in my mind, like, especially young and especially her personality, it would trigger, just like we're about to get into, it should trigger some things.
Well, again, keep in mind, one, he never knew he had 2 children. So that's the number one. He never knew he had 2 children. He only knew he had a child. That's number one. Number 2, let's also remember, she was a full-grown adult, and he still didn't recognize who she was.
That's true.
And talk to her like straight to face with the same.
Speaking of which, I found it interesting that, and I hope this somehow develops, but I hope that she somehow switches from an American to a British accent, like Carrie Fisher did in episode 4. Like, somehow that gets incorporated, because that's how Leia talks, or at least that's how Leia talked, like, as an adult. Like, that probably would start. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But overall, I think it's a good episode 1, good start. And let us know what you guys think in the comments, what you guys think of episode 1. We would love to hear from you all. Let us know. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe as well. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Always.